cover as much as we can, and I want to go ahead and get us started with the number 1 team in the nation, Clemson University. They're going to be taking on Syracuse. Now, I want to go ahead and dive into this one because Syracuse, if they had won last week over Maryland, then the game day would odds are
game day would
there.
be there. They already said
They would
said
be there
that.
because Syracuse would be ranked, but then Syracuse gets their brains blown out by Maryland, which, by the way, we're going to talk about Maryland here in just a second because Maryland looks for real. But Syracuse loses. Clemson's coming into town. The last time Clemson was in town, they were defeated by a then unranked Syracuse. I think it's a little bit different today.
Yeah, today it's going to be a lot of difference. I don't see Clemson coming out and winning this game. Syracuse coming out and winning this game, especially after just being beaten by Maryland so badly last week. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game because Trevor Lawrence doesn't really seem like he's been striking on all cylinders. Last week versus Texas A&M, it wasn't really the most high-scoring game, just a 24-10 victory. And Trevor Lawrence, there's still some buttons he needs to fix there, but I don't see Clemson having really a big problem here. Their defense is really great. I love watching their defense play. They have a great secondary. Syracuse, I don't expect much out of them, especially after last week's game.
I mean, playing over at the Carrier Dome, I think it's called the Carrier Dome still, it's always going to be a tough place to play. In fact, fun fact, and I think it's different now, but I think 10 years ago, maybe even before that, this place is called the Carrier Dome, named after the air conditioning company Carrier. I think it's called RC Carrier. And they have a domed stadium that wasn't even air conditioned. Like, talk about a weird thing where they're playing inside a domed stadium that apparently didn't have air conditioning, and they're called the Carrier Dome, named after an AC company.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's different now. I'm sure they have AC in that building. But Syracuse is going to be going into this game the underdogs by 27.5 points, and frankly, I think Clemson can cover that. I think Clemson can cover 27.5 points going into this ball game 2-0. They're the number 1 team in the nation. Trevor Lawrence looked much better last week. He looked much better last week against Texas A&M. That was a game that I kind of went the way I thought it was going to go. I didn't think it was going to jump out on the page. Clemson does win that ball game 24-10. It basically went the way that I think you and I were talking about it going to go, and Texas A&M did cover on their half. I thought the spread was way too high at 17.5 points. Clemson did manage to, or Texas A&M rather, did manage to cover that. Wish I had put some money on that game, but I did not, and that's fine. I'd rather play it safe sometimes. But in this ball game at 27.5 points, Clemson's heavily favored in this ball game, even though they are in Syracuse. I do like Clemson to win this ball game. I do see them though not playing. I'm curious now at this point. A part of me thinks that Trevor Lawrence is going to have another sloppy game, but last week he played pretty well. He didn't jump off the page. In fact, in terms of being a Heisman candidate, Trevor Lawrence has not looked like a Heisman candidate at all at this point. So now you wonder, is today going to be the day where he finally comes alive and plays well? Because last year they struggled against Clemson. This was Trevor Lawrence's first start in college football last year, was at home against Syracuse, which, by the way, he got hurt, and their backup had to come in and finish the game. And by the way, led them to a comeback, and they won. But being at Syracuse, always a tough place to play, but I do like Clemson to win this ball game pretty handily. 27.5 points. I would take Clemson in this ball game. Even though if I was in Biloxi right now, it might be a game I just pass on. But
Yeah.
At the same time, I do like Clemson to win big.
Yeah, Clemson, they're going to win this one easily. I don't see Syracuse winning this game. Honestly, though, when we talk about these other games, it's a soft week this week. We're watching the Mississippi State-Kansas State game right now on ESPN1, but it's really just a soft week. I am interested in the Stanford UCF game, though. That one does strike my interest a lot, just because it's UCF facing a team that's a Power 5 school.
All right, I do want to say this about UCF and Stanford. I don't care about this game.
Really?
I don't care about this game because, yeah, Stanford's a big name, but they're not a great team this year. And yet UCF is playing a team that they kind of need to beat. They need to beat this team if they want to continue to have national recognition. They need to say they beat Stanford. But it's like Notre Dame last year, where Notre Dame beat all these Power 5 schools, but yet all these Power 5 schools like Florida State, UCF, or USC, and Stanford, they beat these Power 5 schools, yet these teams weren't having great seasons. I think this is Stanford this year. I think they'll be an okay team, but if UCF beats them, I am not at all impressed. But I will say this. I am impressed by the guy that they may have starting at quarterback today, Dylan Gabriel, a guy who's a lot like Mackenzie Milton. He's from Hawaii. He's about the same body size and same height as Mackenzie Milton. I think UCF, for right now, may have found their new Mackenzie Milton. in a sense that they're both Hawaiian and they both have the same body size and they put up some decent numbers. So how is he going to do against Stanford today? Is he actually going to start against Stanford today? I say based on how he did last week, it's definitely likely. I think we will see a different starting quarterback, not Brandon Winbush, play in this ball game. But it's at home for them, and again, I'm not impressed by this game whatsoever.
I mean, Hawaii does produce some pretty good quarterbacks. I mean, I don't know if you really know, but two that really strike my recognition that come from Hawaii are the two starting that first quarterback and the second string quarterback at Bama, the Tagovailoa brothers.
Yeah, Tungavailoas are both from Hawaii. Then you also have a guy like, Marcus Mariota won a Heisman Trophy. Tua certainly in the race for the Heisman Trophy right now. His brother looking to be the next starting quarterback at Alabama, because Tua, odds are, will probably leave after this season to go to the NFL. His draft stock right now is pretty high. And then Mackenzie Milton, of course, from Hawaii, and he, outside of that devastating knee injury, he's a hell of a quarterback. So, and again, we all hope that he can come back next season. He's not playing at all this year, and as he continues to recover from that knee injury where he almost lost his leg,
Yeah,
cut off blood flow going to his leg, he almost had to lose his leg, and that's an extremely scary thought.
yeah,
When you think of a guy who's at the peak of his career, playing excellent football, has an opportunity to do so much with UCF and possibly lead them to a Final Four. You never know. That's what they've been fighting for. Possibly do something like that, and then he suffers a knee injury on a freak accident, on a freak play. But yeah, we are, as we like to do, especially these games. Games get kicked off at 11 o'clock. Our show gets kicked off at 11 o'clock. So we like to turn around and give you updates about what's going on. And currently, Kansas State, Mississippi State's playing on ESPN on the TV behind us. No score at all, but Kansas State does have the ball, and they're running down the field. Another game that's going on right now that has been intriguing to me, because this team seems to always play Ohio State very tough, and that's Ohio State against Indiana.
yes,
This is a game where you expect Ohio State to win.
yes.
On paper, Ohio State is supposed to demolish Indiana, but at home for Indiana, they have played Ohio State very, very tough. It's always been a close game. It's always been within a touchdown or within 3 points, and I like this game to still remain close. I think that this game is going to be a game where Indiana can keep it close for 3 quarters,
Yeah,
and then the fourth quarter, it'll unravel.
well, really, what I'm basing it off of is how these first couple drives go for Ohio State. Because really, it's been the same thing, but I think Justin Fields is gonna be a little bit different. I think he's gonna come out a little bit more hotter than Ohio State used to in the past. And now it's also Ryan Day as the coach. When it was Urban Meyer, he would always have. In my opinion, I always thought Urban Meyer, he had his mindset on a game in the future. And that's why they lost to Purdue last year. That's because they were focused on the Michigan game in the future. I think Ryan Day's gonna be a little bit different. Ohio State's already knocking on the door. They're on Indiana's 8-yard line with a 3rd and 6 coming. But I think Ohio State's gonna be a little bit different this year with an Indiana.
Uh, you know, Justin Fields is a guy that I considered in my top 5 preseason Heisman favorites. I think this is a game where he should be able to just take off on Indiana. He should. Is there a game that I think Justin Fields is really going to struggle this season? Absolutely. Could it be against Indiana? Sure. I mean, right now he's off to a decent start. I mean, 1-for-1 passing for 10 yards, and it looks like he's keeping it with his legs. And then J.K. Dobbins, he's doing pretty well. And looks like Ohio
Ooh,
State's.
got picked off there. That was a close one. I'm watching the game right now on my laptop, and it's 4th and 6 now. Looks like the field goal team's coming out for Ohio State, but pass was deflected in the air and was right out the hand of an Indiana defender. It was almost picked off, and that could have been a lot of yards returned on that one because he had no one around him when he was returning that ball.
And ball's on the Indiana 15. So this should be essentially a chip shot for their kicker. So again, this game is going to be continuing on all throughout the game, all throughout the day. We'll be giving you updates during this. We have 20 more minutes left in this show. So again, very quick show. Oh, and it looks like Indiana and Ohio State missed the field goal. So Ohio State moving the ball down the field. Indiana, they have the ball now at their own 15-yard line. Yeah, that's deep in their own territory. But you know what? This is what we can see from this Indiana team is that Ohio State, they're vulnerable. They can make some mistakes against this team early. Again, I think later on in the second half, this game can turn Ohio State's way. But we'll see. You have 4 quarters to go, and it should be a fun one. Moving on, though, we have other games that we want to talk about. I do want to go ahead and get into Alabama, South Carolina before we take our first and only break of the show. So South Carolina is heavily just The odds are against them. Alabama, they're favored by 26 points. They're going to South Carolina. South Carolina's having to rely on their true freshman quarterback Ryan Helinski in this ballgame, while Alabama, of course, they're Alabama. They have the talent that they have on their roster. It's not looking good for South Carolina in this ballgame. I guess the question is Alabama going to cover? But if I'm seeing 26, which by the way, I thought it was 27.5 earlier, just like Clemson, and it looks like they have since adjusted that stat line. I like Alabama to cover in this ball game. I think they can early. I think maybe the first quarter may be an adjustment period for them. I think South Carolina may give their fans some hope in the first quarter, but after that, Alabama's going to score a touchdown, and then it's just going to be a lost game from there.
Yeah, they have Jake Bentley, a quarterback for South Carolina. He's probably the most experienced quarterback in the nation, at least one of them, because he's in his 5th year now, I believe.
Yeah, but he suffered a season-ending injury in week 1, so now Ryan Helinski is now their starting quarterback.
That's right.
Yeah, Ryan Helinski, who by the way is the brother of Tyler Helinski, who sadly took his own life a few years ago, and Ryan Helinski is looking to keep his brother's legacy living through through the play that he can do. And by the way, Ryan Helinski, a very talented quarterback. In the ESPN Top 300, he was a top 50 athlete, not just a top 50 quarterback. He was a top 50 athlete, and he commits to South Carolina, and he's playing right now. And it looks like Jake Bentley could be done for the rest of the season. That's certainly looking that way. This is Ryan Helinski's team for the next 4 years, it looks like. So how is he going to play this season? How is he going to handle Alabama? I'm going to go ahead and just give you my prediction on this one. Alabama's going to win this ball game, but one thing I really am going to focus on is how is this true freshman going to play? I see him throwing a few interceptions. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about how competent he is going to play at the quarterback position. Is he going to complete passes? Is he going to make good decisions? Are his interceptions going to be good interceptions and that they were maybe contested throws? Maybe a wide receiver just couldn't make a play, or is he going to be throwing into coverage? Is he going to be flustered? Is he going to be taking bad sacks? Like, how is he going to look in this ball game? I'm curious, as the true freshman is going to be taking on one of the toughest defenses in the nation.
Yeah, it's going to be an easy game for Alabama. I say they'll come out fast. Tua's going to come out hot and fast. I don't really see South Carolina doing much in this game. They might put up at max 21 points.
I think the final score in this game is going to be like 56 to 21, 24. Yeah. And I see those points coming in late, like garbage time
I
points.
say at max we'll have maximum 10 points put up in the first half, minimum 3 is my opinion. I don't see South Carolina really doing much damage at all.
Yeah, and that's Alabama, South Carolina. We both went ahead and just gave our predictions. We think Alabama is going to win, not only win, but they're going to cover. Also, this game is going to be on CBS. So Brad Nessler and oh man, who's the guy who always calls the games with him now? I'm blanking. Oh no, I'm blanking. This guy's
Chris Collinsworth?
No, it's not Chris Collinsworth. That guy, that's on NBC. But this game is supposed to be.
What am I saying? I don't even know.
So Brad Nessler and another guy who has been calling the game since Vern Lundquist was there at CBS. They're going to be making the call for the Alabama South Carolina game, and we have other games to talk about. Like real quick, Oklahoma. They're going to be taking on UCLA. These are just some of the top 5 matchups that we're breaking down. Oklahoma is going to UCLA. Chip Kelly and UCLA. They're 0-2 to start the year. It's not looking good at all for UCLA. And then Oklahoma, they're looking to be that team that's going to remain undefeated until they take on Texas, and we'll see how that game goes. So I see that being an easy win for Oklahoma. So a few of these games that we think are going to be easy wins we're talking about, although Ohio State and Indiana certainly has the ability to be intriguing. When we come back from this break, we'll continue to break down some of the big matchups like Iowa State. That's always a really fun one. And then the University of Florida, they're taking on Kentucky, and it's at Kentucky, and a local guy for Kentucky is going to be starting at quarterback. We're going to be talking about that game, as well as UWF taking on Shorter, leading up to the pregame show with Will Kennedy. That's all coming up on Sports Call with Davis and Justin on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Does pain have you sidelined on the bench? Clearway Pain Solutions wants you back in the game. Our team of compassionate, board-certified pain specialists, chiropractors, and physical therapists will relieve your pain and restore your function. For comprehensive, patient-centered care, visit a Clearway doctor at one of our convenient locations near you. Call Clearway Pain Solutions today at 855-527-PAIN or visit our website at clearwaypain.com. That's 855-527-PAIN or clearwaypain.com.
Hey, sports fans, we know that we all fumble now and then when we're headed for the end zone, and our vehicles are no exception. Next time your bad ride is a little off sides, take it to Amco Transmission, your total car care facility. And with no interest financing, even with less than perfect credit, you'll drive away feeling as if you caught the winning touchdown. You always make the right play when you take your vehicle to Amco Transmission on Davis Highway, just south of Airport Boulevard. Visit them on Facebook or call 800-GO-AMCO. Double A, MCO.
Well, you want to see a Broadway show, but New York City just isn't in the cards.
Broadway's coming to you. Get your tickets now for the 2019-2020 Broadway season at the Sanger Theater. See amazing Broadway touring shows like Jersey Boys, Cats, The Color Purple, Beautiful, An American in Paris, and Waitress for a third of the cost you would pay on Broadway. See actual Broadway shows right here in downtown Pensacola. Get all the details at PensacolaSanger.com.
Imagine having a luxury hotel quality bath in your own home. That's what you'll get with Bath Fitter Pensacola. Bath Fitter will install a beautiful luxury tub in as little as 1 day. There's no demo, no mess, no stress. With thousands of options to choose from, custom design a bath you'll love. It's under warranty for as long as you own your home. With over 35 years experience and more than 2 million satisfied customers, Bath Fitter makes upgrading your bath easy. Visit bathfitter.com today to book your free in-home consultation or call 429-1777.
I'm really hungry, but I don't want to spend a fortune.
Well, you're in luck. Now you can get Denny's Super Slam with 2 eggs, 2 bacon strips, 2 sausage links, hash browns, and 2 pancakes, all for just $5.99.
That is a great deal. So I get all of that for just $5.99?
You sure do.
Wow, this meal just keeps getting better and better.
Some might say super.
I see what you did there.
The $5.99 Super Slam is back. See you at Denny's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. No substitutions.
Just felt there's a huge need in Pensacola to bring foot and ankle services, specifically orthopedic foot and ankle services, to this area. There's so much growth in Pensacola. I wanted a freestanding orthopedic foot and ankle center to do this, and as far as I can tell, this is the only one really in the country that's freestanding. Most orthopedic surgeons are part of a multi-specialty group. So we offer on-site x-rays, on-site CT scan, and on-site MRI. They can come to one place.
Visit NielsenOrthopedics.com to reserve your appointment today.
Golic and Wingo.
A different host from ESPN Radio from around the country is going to make their pick in our Survivor pool.
This is Davis Allen from ESPN Pensacola, and my pick for the Golic and Wingo Survivor pool is Kansas City over the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That might be the toughest game on the board week 1, and Pensacola is swinging with Hall of Famer Patrick Mahomes.
5 to 9 every weekday morning. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Yeah, we are. We're ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. We are so local that we're going to be bringing you the UWF game coming up. That's going to be kicking off at noon, but here in about 10 minutes, Will Kennedy's going to be going live with the UWF pregame show live from Shorter University at Barron Stadium. That's a game. Let's go ahead and talk about that right now before we get back to talking about Florida, Kentucky. Florida State's going to be also traveling to Virginia to take on the 25th ranked team in the nation. But UWF, they had a tough loss last week on a Thursday against Carson Newman. They're 0-1 to start the year, but Shorter really has just been that team historically that has just not been a very solid football team. So this should be a good win for West Florida as they head home to take on Virginia Lynchburg back at Blue Wahoo Stadium, which, by the way, of course, we're going to be covering that game as well. We're going to be down there covering the game live, so that's going to be a fun one. But overall, I'm feeling good about this game. They're on the road, but they're at Shorter, and it should be a game for them to handle.
Yeah, UWF, they need to come out and start winning games here. Last week was a tough one. They lost by 7, and there's still some. I know I haven't really kept up with them as much as I should, but it's kind of hard for me because of being in school and all that. I'm not really able to go out to the practices that much, but I know that defense is what really keeps us in these games. I think they can do a great job versus Shorter, and I think our quarterback game, we need to step up a little bit and make some plays, and we can make some plays in the air. Our run game should be able to do a lot for us in the end game as well, and chew a lot of clock out as well. So I'm really expecting a lot from UWF, and I think they can handle this game.
And not only are we very local with covering UWF, but we also do high school football here in the area. And yesterday, right here on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM, you and Joe Ford were over at Washington High School as Washington took on Gulf Breeze High. How did that game go, man?
Went great. Washington won 42-22, and Washington, man, they were winless last year. I went 10. Got new coach, Tommy Joe Winnick, came from Niceville, the offensive coordinator from there. And, man, he brought those offensive skills with him because they are an offensive powerhouse. Probably my favorite offensive team that we've seen so far. They have weapons like Robert Sherlock, a quarterback. He was accounted for 5 touchdowns yesterday. He had 2 1-yard quarterback runs, and then he had 3 touchdown passes as well. He did so much for them last night. He has weapons. They don't just have one guy that they can be reliable. Like this last time we went and saw them play was Eric Smith Jr., who had 152 yards and 11 catches and 2 touchdowns just in the first half. He was their big guy, and we barely even saw him play. They barely used him last night. He had 2 catches for about 50-60 yards, but they had guys like Gregory Bullard, Cameron Chisholm, who was Jamari Black. All these guys, they have weapons on weapons on weapons that they can go to. They're all reliable for Washington, and that's what makes them so dangerous. They don't just have one guy that they use. They have so many, and I know I have all these stats from last night's game. Gulf Breeze's quarterback, Ryan McCurdy, he started showing up. Gulf Breeze in the first half, they really just relied on the run game. It didn't do anything for them. They were shut out. And then the second half, they came out starting to throw the ball a little bit more, and they were making things happen. But also Washington was starting to shoot themselves in the foot because they had, when I say there was flags in these games, I mean there was flags on flags, and wow, they were pushing 30 flags in that game. That's a lot of flags. I don't know what the record was for the state record, but I think they probably broke it last night for most combined flags in a game. There was a lot of penalty yards. We got out of there about 10 o'clock, which we usually get out of there about 9:15. So the fourth quarter itself was 40 minutes long. It was a long quarter.
Man.
Yeah, it was a long game, but overall, Washington, they're easily one of my favorite teams to watch right now. They are now 3-0 on the season, and I can't wait to see what else they do in the future. I can't wait to do their game against Escambia in Week 10. Escambia is probably my second favorite team that we've seen so far. We saw them play against Pine Forest last week. That was a great game as well. Probably our most exciting game when it comes to a close game. And I can't wait to break down Escambia versus Washington. That's going to be a great game.
Yeah, a tough loss for Gulf Breeze. As a guy who went to Gulf Breeze and watched their football team play, we used to not be the most solid team. I know my freshman year we didn't win a single game, but as the years went on, we were better. We won a few more games my sophomore year. Then my junior and senior year, we went to the playoffs. We were getting it together then. And then 2 years ago, I think they were a 1-loss, 2-loss team. They lost in the playoffs.
They had Tyler Dittmer as the running back. Now. He's in college now.
Yeah, he's at Davidson along with another guy, Tyler Phelps, who's currently the quarterback over there. I think is his last name. I actually worked with him. We both worked at a local restaurant here in town together before he left for college, and he was kind of telling me about his collegiate experience, and I think he's the starting quarterback. He was the starting quarterback his freshman year, and I believe he still is. So Tyler Phelps, the quarterback at Davidson, former Gulf Breeze quarterback. Good to see these guys doing some good things collegiately. And speaking of high school football, next week we're going to be at Pensacola. They're going to be hosting Catholic, so that's going to be a really fun game. You can hear that action on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, as well as our sister station, News Radio 92.3 and AM 1620. Also on News Radio today, you can hear Florida State as they are going to be traveling to Virginia to take on the Virginia Cavaliers. And Florida State, they managed to hang on, get their first win of the season last week against UL Monroe. 45-44 was the final. You know how UL Monroe lost? They shanked the extra point in overtime.
Yep.
Florida State scores. Offensively, they're doing okay. Defensively, they're doing garbage, just absolute garbage. The fact that Willie Taggart said that Florida State's defense kept them in the ball game, there's no way possible. Your defense should have lost you the game, but instead, UL Monroe made a mistake, so then Florida State gets their first win of the year, and now they're going into Virginia, who is ranked 25th in the nation. They're 2-0 to start the year. Florida State really needs this big win. It's a road game for them. They need this win so bad, and it's really not looking pretty for them. And you're freaking out over there. What are you freaking out over?
I watched this Ohio State game, man. They're on the Indiana's 3, and it's a little out route. Dobbins, he's wide open. No one's even on this side of the field at all. It's just Dobbins by himself. It's on my computer. Dobbins is by himself. Justin Fields throws him a pass, hits him right in the hands, goes straight through his hands. There's no one around him for about 10 yards. And he drops the pass straight into his chest. But then Justin Fields runs it in for a 3-yard touchdown. Now Ohio State's up 6-0. Extra point still coming. But wow, that just shocks me because Dobbins has always been a very reliable back for Ohio State.
So defensively, Ohio State's not allowing Indiana to do anything. That's expected. And then mistake in the first drive doesn't allow Ohio State to score anything. But now almost had another mistake that would have probably led to another field goal. But now Ohio State, they're up 6-0, expected to be up 7-0 now over Indiana. Also a quick update, Mississippi State, Kansas State on behind me, and still no score in that game, 4:14 left to go in the first quarter. But real quick, it's not looking pretty for Florida State going into this ball game. I have Virginia winning that one. But now Florida, Kentucky. We have 4 minutes to go before we send it off to Will Kennedy, who's live at Shorter University. But Florida, Kentucky, this is one of the biggest games of the day. Kurt Herbstreit on game day had Kentucky winning this ball game, as well as Eric Church. He was the guest picker on College Game Day. He had Kentucky winning as well, but Lee Corso does have Florida winning this ball game, as well as Desmond Howard in this ball game. Florida's favored by 9.5. If we're talking points, I'm favoring Kentucky in this ball game.
Yeah, if we're talking points, I'm favoring Kentucky as well. But Florida's going to come out on top, in my opinion. It's going to be a close game. I think Kentucky's going to play them close. I'm really expecting Sawyer Smith out of Cantonment. I expected him to play pretty good. I read an article. Terry Wilson said, "Look, man," he told him, "just go out there and play football. You're good. You're fine. You have the capability. You just got to believe in yourself and go with what you got. Don't think about it too much. I know it's Florida, top 10 team in the nation, but don't think about that too much." He said last year in his game against Florida, Coach Mark Stoops, he saw him and said after the first half he had a fumble and an interception. He said, "Look, you're good. You're ready. Just go out there and play football. Don't think about it. Be confident in what you have." And then, of course, Terry Wilson comes out striking on all cylinders and then beating Florida and knocking them off.
Exactly. First time in over 30 years that Kentucky had beaten Florida. Well, that finally happened. Is Florida going to lose consecutive years? That hasn't happened since the 70s. I will go ahead and give my prediction right now because we're under 2 minutes to go before we send it off to Will Kennedy. But I have Florida winning this ball game. It's going to be a close one. And if we're talking points, I have Kentucky taking this one. But if we're talking just who's going to win the ball game, I do like Florida in this ball game, and it would be a big victory because they're going to be taking on Tennessee back at home next week. Quick update, Georgia's beating Arkansas State 10-0, and this is a cool game because Georgia is honoring the late wife of Blake Anderson, the head coach of Arkansas State. Wendy, his wife, died of breast cancer a few weeks ago. Well, Blake Anderson is back with Arkansas coaching again. Georgia is winning 10-0. We expect that to be a big victory, but still a good thing to see from Georgia. Ohio State's winning 7-0 over Indiana. I have Ohio State winning that ball game. Penn State, Pittsburgh is delayed. Maryland is one of the hottest teams in the country right now. They're losing to Temple 7-0 in this ball game, but 8:49 to go, lots to go. I have Maryland winning this ball game. Alabama, South Carolina, not even close. I have Alabama. But Iowa State.
Yep.
This is going to be a big one. Lee Corso put on the headgear at game day for Iowa State to win this ball game. I like Iowa State to win this ball game as well.
I don't care. Screw the rankings. I don't care that Iowa's in the top 25. Iowa State's going to come out and win this game. I don't care. They're a great team. I like the way they play football. I like the way they are on offense, and I don't see Iowa beating them at home. I got Iowa State winning this game.
And then Notre Dame is going to be taking on New Mexico. I do have Notre Dame winning this ball game, but Bob Davie, the former head coach of Notre Dame, he's now the head coach at New Mexico, returning to Notre Dame. But also this is a big game because Notre Dame, they need to win this game because next week they're going to Athens to take on Georgia, and I can only assume that game day is going to be at that game as well. Well, guys, that is going to do it for us. I know normally we're 2 hours, but today is going to be a really quick one because coming up in 15 seconds, it's going to be UWF against Shorter University. Will Kennedy is going to be going live with the UWF football pregame show from Barron Stadium, and then at noon it's going to be kickoff. UWF Shorter. I have UWF Argos winning. Thank you for listening. This has been Sports Call with Davis and Justin on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Getting out of the military, I was missing this camaraderie.
It's frustrating.